Hey class, or group, Dr. Ryder. My name is Eddie Knight, and this is my peer commentary number 2 on comprehensive and research universities. First, I'd like to talk for a minute about my reaction to comprehensive colleges. I spent the whole presentation discussing CCU specifically and neglected to address it abstractly. As discussed in the liberal arts module, I attended a small liberal arts college in Asheville. It only had one graduate program, and that was in liberal arts, and had zero emphasis on vocation. It had a physics and a biology department and an education department, but besides that, it was exclusively liberal arts. And the only experience I had with any type of vocational students or professional students was at the community college before that, where I'd have some 50-year-old man in my English or history course working toward their heating and air certificate. So in other words, a small liberal arts college has been, until this point, my universal measuring stick for the college experience. And I get from this module that not only is my experience not universal, but in a way it's not even typical. And part of my maladjustment to UNCW, I think, which is a comprehensive university, is this overall misperception. Dr. Ryder discussed in EDL 550 or 551, I get them mixed up, about the tensions between the classical Oxford-style education that is liberal arts and vocational schools and professional schools that emerged following the Civil War. Essentially, vocational and professional schools in the early 20th century began to override liberal education, and the public's perception as our collective educational goals became more democratic, inclusive, and pragmatic. So universities went from being the breeding ground of upper-class social capital and became the student-centered service today, petitioning for popular demand and consumer dollars. Many vocational and teacher schools, began more so as junior colleges, and that they became the comprehensive universities that we see today, in addition to some liberal arts, in order to survive, adopting a more offerings in their curriculum to please this public consensus. Comprehensive colleges can serve both demands. The practical, they can also serve a classical liberal arts education as well, often mixing those curriculums. The college I visited, Coastal Carolina University, considers itself a comprehensive liberal arts university. And like UNCW, we can see that because it has both a philosophy department as well as a business school. Also, like UNCW, you can major in English, or you can go and get your PhD in marine biology. There literally is something for everyone in a comprehensive university. And this is essential and it's purposeful, because unlike large research universities, and I'm mainly talking about tier 1 prestigious universities, comprehensive colleges sometimes have to concern themselves about things like recruitment, enrollment numbers, funding, endowments, and just overall customer reviews and satisfactions of the students, both current and potential. So more out of necessity and concern, they have to offer more aesthetically pleasing environments, such as, like I showed in the amenities section in my presentation, they have desirable third spaces and on campus and modern amenities. Comprehensive colleges have to create, earn, and maintain almost every day, their perception of tradition and reputation. They just can't rest on their laurels like a lot of old liberal arts colleges and some research institutions. And because at this point, Duke, they could have their pick of the litter. They can pick whoever they want, as noted in the video that I watched, and they can operate out of FEMA trailers, and people will still attend Duke at this moment to get that Duke degree. CCU has to offer hot tubs. They have to offer those golf courses. ASU, as discussed by Taylor, they depend upon being that nestled in top of that mountain, that little college, like a weird little Appalachian South Park. And because competition is steep for higher educational institutions as well, comprehensive curriculum, they just have to have more options and be more inclusive. Taylor Owens and ASU. I love ASU. It was my second choice behind Warren Wilson, but I ended up going to UNCA specifically because it was within driving distance. I tried to sell ASU to my daughter by saying it's a beautiful, self-contained place that's both outside of the world, but it's also on top of the world. It has both astronomy towers and skiing, and it carries that sort of liberal left mentality, circa 2006, back when I was researching it, from that Asheville culture. All those mountain universities, though, they have a bad racial diversity, and I don't think it's intentional. I think it's just reflective upon the surrounding area population, which is generally pretty homogenous. But the result is it creates this extreme confirmation cycle of quote white unquote upper middle class culture, and I think that in a large part repels some diversity from the area. Boone and ASU, I like how they're one and the same. You could almost put it in a bubble because the college kids going to school there also work the local jobs there that literally almost sell things mainly back to themselves and other college kids. And the social and aggregate environment is maintained and remains static as a result. It's kind of like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But UNCA, they have similar mission statements with ASU and incorporate words such as inclusion, community, engagement, and sustainability, and so on. CCU, on the other hand, feels it force feeds culture through trying to look prestigious and regal. It's in constant flux and it politically manages real, actual diversity. Diversity that would terrorize most white people who often talk about increasing diversity. It's beautiful. I would trade UNCA's ragged, old, worn, exhausted campus for either CCU's or ASU's culture, or campus, not culture. But, CCU is a cookie cutter university, mirroring the regional disposable culture that are born in decay like strip malls in a declining part of town eventually. I would not brag about having a degree from CCU. I would have loved again to attend ASU. Duke and research universities, I don't know what to say. My lifelong low SES status and developmentally retarded self-esteem sort of prohibits me from caring so much about large prestigious research universities. My degree will be from UNCW, and I would never work at one. They're just way too stratified for that. I've expected my lot and accepted it, that I'll most likely end up getting employment at a community college or a lower tiered university. Therefore, places like Duke is, dead last really on my caring list. I don't like sports either. I detest yuppies and the current healthcare system, but for the sake of a grade and for my 5 points here, I will read verbatim from Hurt with all the enthusiasm that a middle-aged, out-of-shape man can muster. Feel free to read along. The hallmark of these universities, however, is their focus on the generation of new knowledge. Extensive research is carried out by individual faculty members, graduate and professional students, teams of scholars, research institutes and centers, and other formal and informal organizational entities. In general, professionals at research institutions believe they work with very talented and motivated students. They admire the energy and creativity that their students bring. I lingered around them under that benign sky, watched the moss fluttering among the heath and harebells, listened to the soft wind breathing through the grass, and wondered how anyone could ever imagine unquiet slumbers for the sleepers in that quiet earth. The end. Sorry, I just had to read something different because that was so boring. But my inadequate response toward the research institution concluded is that there's a very different power dynamic between prestigious Tier 1 research institutions and public comprehensive universities, and that's for students, faculty, and staff. And I don't think I'd like to work one, so you should ask Dr. Ryder about working at MIT and see what he says. I'm just not interested in research, but I did do the reading, so please give me my grade. Anyway, thank you for watching the video, and I look forward to reviewing yours.